Perfect Grade Unleashed, the pinnacle of Bandai's model kit engineering. When the RX-78-2 came out at the end of 2020, it was praised for its complexity, mixed media, and real-world approach to the building process, with a decent price to match. Now Bandai has done it again, with an even bigger, possibly better, more expensive kit, the Perfect Grade Unleashed New Gundam. With a price tag of 66,000 yen, or $450 US, you get a lot of plastic, and even more detail. Almost every part of this kit has tons of molding on both the inside and the outside of each piece, which makes it the ultimate painter's kit. For my build, I decided to paint all the individual interior details on the inner frame. I would not necessarily recommend this, as even with the open hatch gimmick, a lot of those details get covered up by extra inner frame details and the outer armor. However, if you are truly devoted to trying to get the most out of this kit, then have at it. As on panel lines, they are quite sparse on this kit. Most of the parts have been separated well enough to give you the impression of complexity. As for the few areas where panel lining can be done, the panel lines are basically raised details, where you'll have one panel being lower than the other. It can be a little hard to get ink to stay in these panel lines, so I would recommend maybe just lightly scribing. If not, then you can just use a pen, and you'll need to make sure that you are top coating to make sure the ink doesn't, evaporate. There is tons of open space on these panels if you do want to add your own details. Personally, I left mine stock, but it's a great blank canvas for those who do like to scribe their own details or just add, extra add-on parts. As for the building experience, it was rather enjoyable. The designers wanted you to feel like you were making a Gundam in real life. It's broken down into 5 different phases, starting with the base, then onto the inner frame of the Gundam, and then the armor on the Gundam, then the weapons, and then finally the fin funnels. As for the fin funnels, it's a lot. They have their own box. It's something you're just gonna have to, focus, sit down, and just get it done. It's quite repetitive with 6 of them. I'll say that is the most grueling part of this build. It's the most boring part. As for the most complex part, I'd say phase 2 with the inner frame armor, specifically the legs. The legs on this are quite detailed. They have a lot of parts for each leg, so that's the most complex part. But the most boring part is definitely the fin funnels. Would not blame you for breaking up the fin funnel build in between the other phases, just to alleviate some of the monotony. All of the runners have been labeled for which section of the build that they'll be used on. However, they are not labeled on which phase. For that, you'll have to refer to the instructions. The instructions do a good job of explaining what parts are used for each phase at the beginning of the phase, so you are not going to be rummaging through all your runners constantly. However, you will have to spend a good amount of time just prepping and getting your runners organized for each step before you actually begin building. This took me around 2 hours to do. Once you get it done, it makes things a lot easier. This kit follows the tradition that was started with the RX-78-2 of including mixed media. This kit has photo etched parts, cast metal parts, flexible pipes acting as wires, and 3D stickers. On top of that, you have water slides, which beats the RX-78-2 stickers, as well as some kind of stickers that are like fabric based to replicate the factory seals that you see from the movie. This is really a gimmick. They only include one extra one for the eyes specifically, and not extra ones for the cameras. So it's really something you're only going to do once, but it's a cool inclusion and it's appreciated. However, if they could not include this, save some money and put it somewhere else, that would be nice, but we'll talk about that later. The flexible tubes, which everyone's calling wires, despite the fact that they don't actually have any wire in them, they're basically just wire insulation tubes that are just flexible. They work pretty well. They can be a bit frustrating to get into the specific shape that you want. They do have plenty of like little spots in the kits to try and keep them in the shape, but they can pop out a bit. That can be a bit of an issue if a photo etch part is going on top of it, but that only really happens in the legs. So it's not that bad. I think it would have been more effective if it did just have regular insulated wire, just so it could hold the shape even better, but I understand why they did this. It's a little easier to physically manipulate and get it in position. Now, unfortunately, you don't really get to appreciate those details as a lot of it gets covered up. All the photo etch parts get covered up. Even with the open hatch gimmick, you can barely see any of them, which it is a bit of a shame to, have all this mixed media and not show it off. But there's going to be a clear kit armor option coming out in the future. So if you really want to do that, go for it. And I think this one is even better than the RX-78's inner frame. So this is definitely one that you do want to consider getting the clear armor set for, but more on future premium Bandai stuff later. Another neat touch on everything is just the overall packaging. The box itself, it comes the shipping container, which is what the international releases are getting instead of the bag that they get in Japan, is themed in universe. The main box that comes in, huge nice box art. And then inside of that, you get 3 separate boxes, which all look so cool. They all have like blueprint designs on them, and line them up. You get the Anaheim Electronics logo. Really cool. And the instruction manual itself is themed after like the design schematics. So it's all really cool. It's all themed like in-universe stuff. And it really does add to the overall experience, which it should for the price, to be fair. For accessories that are not on the Gundam, you have the beam effects, the funnel holders for the included arm for the stand, and then you get funnel stand adapters for stands that are not included. Additionally, you get posed hands that cannot articulate, in addition to the articulated hands that are on the Gundam already, that can have the shooting gimmick where they can shoot the dummy balloons, and I think in universe they can also shoot flares off as well as bird lime. I believe they can do all of those. You also get a backpack adapter, so if you want to have the fin funnel set, you can do that. Definitely going to be an add-on. You also get 2 standing figures of Amuro Ray and Chan Agi. The lack of stands for the fin funnels is quite disappointing. It is clear that Bandai is trying to keep the price down on this kit. You can tell because the silver parts, there's no chrome silver plated like the RX-78 had. Basically, they tried to cut down things as much as possible, despite having other things be more expensive. It's clear there was a trade-off with what things they wanted to include in this kit as to what things they had to get rid of, and I think the stands was one they got rid of. Now let's talk about the price. This is going to be the most contentious thing for anyone who's looking at either getting this kit or commissioning one being built. It's expensive. The base starting price is around 1,200 New Zealand dollars, often being discounted, like a 10% discount in a lot of places, because it physically takes up a lot of space, the stock, so they want to move them. With how long it took for me to build this, and I was going decent pace and did above minimum effort with the outer panels, and I did a decent effort on the inside. However, I didn't do a full paint. If I went ahead and did a full paint job on the inside where I painted every part and then did detail painting on top of that, as well as exterior full painting with pre-shading, and then there's a weathering as well, you're looking at triple, maybe quadruple, way more, in fact way more than that. You're gonna, for how long it takes to actually do one of these, that's gonna be 6,000 to 7,000 New Zealand dollars, which is quite a lot. And that's if you go the full 9 yards on it. That's a commission price, right? That's just because of the amount of hours that goes into every step of this. It is quite a lengthy process to make one of these. When it comes to commissions, you are paying for someone else's time as well as their skills, so that's why it would cost so much. I can definitely understand people not wanting to take one of these on as a commission because of just how much work goes into it. The assembly process itself, it had its enjoyable points. It also had its more tedious and frustrating parts, mainly just the fin funnels. It's a mental check. So much so that I couldn't even stream them because I was just like, I just need to put on something that I enjoy in the background and just get it done and not think about things too much, because if I did, I would lose my mind. And that's something that if you're getting this as a commission, oh my god, there is so much detail that can be picked out on everything. Now, there are different levels to commissions, right? You know, I'm talking about the most expensive full package idea, but if you wanted to go for a more cheaper option, then yeah, it's going to be still double to triple the price of the actual kit. And that's including the base kit's price in all those evaluations. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of money, and what you have to do is think about what else you could get for that money. You know, you could invest that into other things in your life, a lot of things. But if we want to talk strictly to the hobby, well, that's equivalent to around 10, smaller or less complex older master grades, or around 5 or 6, complex master grades like Vercars and brand new ones that have just come out. So that's what you're comparing the price to. Would you prefer to have a bunch of master grades or even like 100 high grades, right? Would you prefer that, or would you prefer this? And that's the question you have to ask yourself if you're considering buying this, or if you had the money to spend on this. Would you prefer that money to go to something else in the hobby, or of course elsewhere? If you want a centerpiece and you want something that will blow people's minds, be a real conversation piece, then yes, this is... I don't think there is any other kit that Bandai has produced that is quite this good. This is hands down the best model kit that Bandai's ever produced. Closest that's ever come to it has been the Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom, and the other Perfect Grade Unleashed, which is the RX-78. Those are the only other kits that have really come close to this. Outside of those, this is the best. And if that's what matters to you, then this is the kit for you. Now, one thing I will comment on that I can't give a full opinion on, but I can give my own personal opinion from what I've seen from other people, is the official LED kit. The official LED kit for this is, in my opinion, way too expensive. With what it actually comes with, feature-wise, physical material cost, and production, it's not worth it. With just a bit of effort, you can create your own, and it will look just as good, if not better. And if the programming for the cycles and everything matters to you, you can either do that yourself. It's not that hard to do that yourself. It just requires a bit of knowledge, and you can just get a microchip and that will just a microcontroller that'll just tell the lights what to do. And you could do that with a remote control, even things that the Bandai kit doesn't come with. If the Bandai official kit came with a remote control and you could plug it into, let's say, like USB-C instead of having to use a battery unit, so you could have it permanently on, I would say it would be worth it for the asking price. But as of right now, it's not worth it. My best recommendation for people who don't have a clue about soldering and all of the like microcontrollers or resistors and getting your voltages right and all of that, just wait for a third-party LED kit to come out. It'll probably be a similar price to the official one, but if the one that was done for the RX-78 is anything to go by, it's going to be way more complex, way more advanced. We'll probably have options for the fin funnels as well. So just wait for that to come out and you'll be good. Speaking of the fin funnels, something that doesn't come included are stands for the fin funnels, which is quite disappointing. Speaking on the stand, the fact that it's the unicorn stand is also disappointing. I think a lot of people were hoping for Bandai to do a new stand, and that the unicorn stand was just a temporary thing for the conventions. But no, it would appear that is what they officially decided to go with in the end. I think the job that they did covering up the fact that it's a unicorn stand looks okay. I think also the fact that Amuro's symbol is the unicorn also kind of gives it a bit more lenience. It's not the worst stand that they could have chosen, but it would have been nice if they made a new one that could be able to have it much higher in the air. As of right now, it can be in an aerial pose, but it can't go that high. And it would be nice if they just had some, holes along the side of the base where you could attach some stands, even if they don't include them. And I understand them not including the LED kit in the stands because they're trying to keep the price down on this as much as possible, and it was still really expensive. From a consumer perspective, it doesn't feel great when you spend this much money and you don't get access to every feature that it supposedly can do. Now, Bandai is definitely going to do an official upgrade kit for this. I mean, in the instructions, some of the opening panels are exclusively there for the heavy weapon system. It says it straight in the manual. Heavy weapon system ports. I was like, okay, they're definitely going to do a heavy weapon system upgrade for this, and that's probably also going to come with fin funnel stands. If not, then there will be a separate set for another fin funnel, because you do have the adapter to have the fin funnels mounted on the other side, so they will definitely do a double fin funnel set, and that'll probably come with stands, likely. They're going to be trying to get as much money out of this as possible, which is understandable. This probably had an insane amount of money poured into this for its research and development for making it all work smoothly, and they couldn't get everything perfect, of course, with the fact that the fin funnels are so heavy. It can lean over if you try to, put the weight on the fin funnels on the body. That was expected. I mean, they could have possibly come up with a solution using metal parts or some sort of locking joint in the waist, but they decided not to do that. The solution that we have in the end does work. It doesn't look bad. It's not really that intrusive. If you look at it from the back, you can tell there's a extra stand arm holding up the fin funnels, but from the front and from most angles you can't tell, and I'm happy with it. I think that's about it. This kit is quite something. I'm glad that I went through the effort to get it, went through the effort to build it, and that I put in a decent effort to make it look good. I know if I really wanted to, I could probably spend a good month or two doing all sorts of different techniques through building it. I'm glad that I actually built one before building any more. Like, if you are someone who does commissions, I recommend that you build one for yourself, learn how everything works, and it will give you a better insight for making another in the future, because if you follow the instructions, you're not going to be doing things the most efficient way, of course, but if you actually break things down, different steps, your own steps, it will be easier to do a commission for this, or just to do a full paint job and do a full custom of this. Speaking of which, I am looking forward to customs of this. I've been looking like every day, basically. Has anyone done a full custom of this yet? Very few people actually do customs of the RX-78, and I would like to see a full custom of this as well. Of course, there are a few people who have done full paint jobs, interior and exterior, and interior including extra detail as well on all the different parts. So it's a cool kit. People have already been putting in a lot of work, but I want to see more, you know, and I want to see other people's opinions on it as well. I think anyone who has bought this kit should get their opinions out there because of how expensive this is. Make sure people are as informed as possible before they can make a decision to buy something like this. You know, I think this kit, value-wise, is probably going to hold its value more than any other kit that Bandai's done, purely because it's such a expensive starting price, and also the fact that, I mean, I don't know how many have sold, and I would really like to know how many sold, but I can't imagine it being too many because of the price. And it must be a decent amount still for Bandai to put in all this effort. I mean, the new Gundam is the most popular Gundam design. I would like to know the numbers. I don't think Bandai will tell us though. We'll just have to wait and see. What I really want to see is a Sazabi to go with this. Now there is the metal structure, and that is also an option. If you can get the metal structure new for a decent price, you're not going to be spending too much more than this. Now if you want to get the metal structure new, the fin funnels, and the gantry area, then you're going to be spending twice, maybe 3 times as much as this. So that's something to consider. I think that also works well as a centerpiece for any collection. I mean, the Sazabi works really well. The Sazabi can do crazy features as well, which nothing has done before. And I really want a perfect grade Unleashed Sazabi that can do the whole transforming into the Nightingale thing, because that is such a cool, unique idea. And I think it would work better in the model kit. You know, people wouldn't be as afraid to transform it as the metal structure, where it's the metal structures definitely can be seen more as an investment than the model kits. But yeah, this one still, yeah, will hold its value. I've been rambling for quite a bit. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. I know I didn't show too much on the posing front. If you want to see more on articulation, there are other channels that have done more in-depth reviews on each individual component, the details, and its articulation. But I just more want to get my thoughts out on this, show some nice pictures, make sure people are informed about what they're getting into with this, and also how long something like this takes. You know, I really did want to talk about the experience of this. I wanted to try and get as much of that as out there as possible, because this whole thing is an experience, right? It's more than just your average model kit. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video, which will probably be a diorama, a heavy scratch building sort of thing, possibly new Gundam related. Not this new Gundam, but a different new Gundam in a different scale. But you just have to wait and see for that, because that is taking time as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to see the actual build itself, I've got everything apart from the fin funnels, decals, and top coat as VODs on my channel. There might be some issues with some of it. I believe the last live stream had some issues. Maybe some issues with audio. Besides that, if you want to skim through and just look at the different parts and different steps, and if you just want to see how long each step took, you can just go check out those VODs as well. But thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.